What do a sports car, the Bible, a $10 bill, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, and a young girl have in common? Cannabis. All of them have benefited from cannabis. The sports car's body is made out of 100% cannabis hemp fiber. And the $10 bill from 1912 was not only printed on hemp paper, but look closely and you'll see a depiction of a farmer harvesting his hemp crop. The first version of the Bible to be mass-produced was printed on hemp paper. And after the Chernobyl nuclear accident, they planted hemp all around the area to remove heavy metals and toxins from the soil. And the young girl is Charlotte Figi. Charlotte was struck with a severe seizure disorder when she was just a girl. It crippled her quality of life, and it stunted her development. CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta captivated the hearts of Americans when he shared her miraculous story of recovery through the use of cannabis oil. And Charlotte now lives a vibrant and healthy life. Wouldn't it be great if we had a plant that was good for our economy, our environment, and our bodies? Cannabis is that plant. And we've had an intimate relationship with it for almost 10,000 years. Many ancient civilizations grew it. From Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, it was used as clothing, rope, rigging, in sails. It was used as food and medicine and even religious rituals. George Washington grew it. Most of the founding fathers grew it. And most of the original American colonies were required to grow it and send it back to the British Crown. And shockingly, until the 1900s, 80% of the world's clothing was made from hemp. And here we are today, wearing cotton. What happened? Well, in the 1920s, new technology emerged, and it made hemp incredibly efficient to process. And all of a sudden, it became a competitor to industries like cotton, paper, and synthetic fibers. These industries use their vast resources and their influence to create a stigma of fear in the American public's mind. And this stigma of fear obliterated cannabis's legacy of benefits. And after a wave of fear gripped America, these industries used their political influence to effectively have cannabis outlawed. Now, interestingly, just a few decades later, at the onset of World War II, the US Department of Agriculture came out and they asked American farmers to grow hemp for the first time in 30 years for the Hemp for Victory campaign to help the United States win World War II. Quite a change in propaganda from just a few years before. But of course, at the end of the war, cannabis went back to prohibition, and generations never learned of its history or its future potential. And we are those generations. Now, before we go any farther, let's take a look at cannabis and hemp and marijuana and what we mean when we use these different terms. Now, there are so many different ways to define this plant, but we're going to look at it the way the federal government does. And they break it down into two plants, hemp and marijuana. Now, marijuana has a couple of uses. The most well-known is, of course, it gets you high. And it also has a couple of medical benefits, too. Whereas industrial hemp, it cannot get you high. It has no psychoactive effects, but it has over 20,000 commercial applications. Why did the federal government bother defining hemp in the first place? Well, it was a piece of legislation called the 2018 Farm Bill. And it didn't just define hemp, it legalized it for the first time in almost 100 years. And this incredible bipartisan piece of legislation had support from Republicans and Democrats alike because they saw the incredible potential of the plant. The next part I'm going to share with you is a little embarrassing. But my journey with cannabis began when I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I found myself getting arrested for possession of a joint of marijuana. And after a humbling legal experience and a period of reflection, I found myself frustrated with the justice system and the stigmas that surrounded this plant. How were we demonizing 20,000 benefits for one use, not to mention the millions of lives that were negatively affected? It was when I began learning through this frustration about all the incredible benefits of hemp that I went on a mission. And after I realized its history and its future potential, and just how we got to where we were at with these stigmas and prohibition, I quit my career and I moved out west on a mission to learn more. And I worked as a consultant for many different hemp companies in agriculture and manufacturing, and in bioplastics and textiles. And now, as the vice president of a major hemp manufacturer, I dedicate my time and attention to the reintroduction of hemp into our society. And I look back at that experience, and I'm thankful for it, because it introduced me to the real cannabis. And I learned that the stigmas are untrue, and that hemp is incredibly beneficial for our economy, for our environment, and for our health. One of the most fascinating benefits economically are the vast different uses that we can use hemp for. Can you guess what this house is made out of? Hempcrete. Hempcrete is stronger and lasts longer than concrete. It's naturally mold, fire, water, and pest resistant, and it's an incredible insulator, which means it's energy efficient. I like to think that my jeans fit really well and that they look really good, but they're also made out of hemp fiber. Hemp fiber is more absorbent, it's stronger, it lasts longer, and it's more durable than cotton. And it's naturally antibacterial and antifungal. And interestingly, studies have shown that using hemp sheets in medical practices can greatly reduce the cases of staph infection. This last example I have for you is my personal favorite. And this is a supercapacitor. And a supercapacitor is essentially, it's a cutting-edge technology that is a new and efficient battery. And in 2014, researchers from the University of Alberta in Canada discovered a way to turn cannabis fiber into super batteries. One of the leading researchers from the project said that the supercapacitors they created from hemp were stronger and more efficient than any supercapacitor on the market. And let's not forget about all the other things that hemp can do. It can make soap and beer and shoes, clothing, paper. It can even make biofuel. And it can make this pen, which is made out of hemp bioplastic. And it's not just about the economic benefits of hemp, it's also about our environment and sustainability. Hemp is an amazing phytoremediator, which means it actually removes heavy metals, toxins, and pesticides from the soil, and its deep roots prevent soil erosion. It needs fewer chemicals, little water, and less fertilizer than most other crops. 1 acre of hemp can produce as much paper as 4 acres of trees. And when you consider that hemp only takes 4 months to grow, where trees take decades, you start to realize the potential. One of the best parts environmentally is that we can use the entire part of the hemp plant, from the very top to the very bottom of the roots, ensuring that nothing goes to waste. And how many of you suffer from chronic pain or inflammation or anxiety? Cannabinoids like CBD and terpenes are 2 compounds from the cannabis plant that are on the forefront of a medical revolution. They're being used to alleviate all different types of suffering, from chronic pain and inflammation, anxiety and depression and PTSD, gastrointestinal and menstruation and prostate issues, fibromyalgia and arthritis. It's even good for your pets. And as a food, hemp seeds are full of protein, full of fiber, and their omega fatty acids are in almost complete proportional alignment with our nutritional needs. You might have even seen hemp products at your local grocery store, like hemp milk, hemp oil, and hemp protein powder. And some of these products are even available in leading national retailers like CVS, Kroger, and Walmart. So if it's so great, and if it's legal, why don't we see it everywhere? Well, it goes back to that 100 years of prohibition. Hemp is at a deficit. 100 years of prohibition means a lack of scientific discovery, a lack of farming and processing infrastructure, and a lack of capital investment. Not to mention that when you do see those products on the shelves, you're immediately reminded of the stigma and not their benefits. But we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to reintroduce cannabis into our society. Not with the mindset of the past 100 years, but with our feelings about it that lasted for 10,000 years. And now we have the science to show exactly what this plant can do. But we need your help. What can you do? Simple lifestyle changes that we all can make. Changes like having conversations around the benefits of hemp, and conversations that break the stigmas that we're used to. And you can purchase hemp products when you see them on the shelves. I'm confident that when we rethink our relationship with cannabis, we'll see a time where hemp is as valued and widely implemented as it once was. And more than it once was. Because now, science will continue to discover new and exciting uses that will revolutionize our economy, our environment, and our health. Thank you.